and good afternoon. It's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Before we begin, big thanks to the few people, as always, for making the donations and helping trying to keep our observatory going, even during this climate with this pandemic ruining everything for everyone across the range, isn't it? A bleak outlook. It's not just the pandemic, it's the businesses that are going under, from airline companies to small shops. And of course, every time a company goes bankrupt or is threatening bankruptcy procedures, people lose their jobs and in turn lose their livelihoods after moving to their savings. When they run out of savings, it's credit cards, and when they run out of that, it is the house repossessed. You've been following over here in the UK, what I've been talking about, 250,000 people. That's an entire army of people which are on the precipice of losing their homes. It's not just that. As we move closer to the month of October, when the furlough scheme over here in the UK finishes, the redundancies are going to come in thick and fast. And I say it's a bleak outlook, guys. When we start looking at other things, such as the fires burning away in Brazil right now, where we're trying to get one of our muon detectors and one of our magnetometers, we see that the Amazon is on fire. Not completely, but we're talking an area half the size of the continent or the country Belgium. That is a huge expanse of land covering thousands of kilometres. It's not just Brazil that is experiencing fires. It's the United States, California. You've seen it yourselves. Even some parts of the United States, I believe even Alaska, is it? Or around about that region, another massive fire has outbroken, and that it's caught all the locals by shock, because this is something that has never happened or very rarely happens. It is a bleak outlook. The fish stocks are at all-time lows. We've lost 1/3 of the species on this planet in the last 10 years. And we face a lot more to come. I will just say this, I'm not interested in whether COVID-19 is just a common cold. In my view, that's all it is. I don't believe they're ever going to come up with a vaccine for it, because we have never, to this date, in the last 60, 70 years of having high-tech laboratory physicians working in there, come up with a common cold vaccine, because it keeps changing, and it's the nature of the pneumonia virus. So, the outlook is even more bleak. On top of that, we're facing economic collapse, and that's been on the cards for a long time. I mean, most people in the United States, the United Kingdom, knows that the personal debt attached to each and every one of us still doesn't cover the total deficit of debt. We are facing global problems, and there are little wars going on, but no exchange of missiles and bombs yet. But the tension is rising, here over in the UK, because we've been criticising China. Some of them companies, like for instance, Hitachi, today have announced that they will not be building 2 more nuclear power plants in the United Kingdom. This is just a tit-for-tat war that's going on with industry, with our country and that country. And we're seeing the same with the United States, Canada, Australia, etc. across the range. There is escalation of tensions. Guys, if you're following all this, it is getting more seriouser and seriouser every day. We're not at equilibrium with any one of these problems. We're not at equilibrium with the pandemic, and like I say, I don't care if it's real or not. The problem is the policies that are being implemented on the public globally is real. These restrictions are real. They are definitely affecting us, and as I've shown before in recent videos, our freedoms are massively under attack, and it doesn't seem that these world leaders have got a grip on anything at all. We have seen them promise things and not deliver, or if they've delivered, it wasn't certainly the promise that they promised us originally. It is just a skeleton of that promise, and therefore nothing is in progression. Like I say, across all these ranges, if you look at them individually, we haven't reached the equilibrium point where things begin to get better. If we saw that, we'd be able to trend and predict, how long it's going to be before there is some sort of normality again. I think that's what we all want. But what we're having to deal with now on a regular basis is, our freedoms being destroyed, our businesses being destroyed. And I heard a heart-wrenching story in one of our comment sections the other day. I'll share it with you. I don't think the person minds, because they did put it, after all, in the comment section. Her and a friend had managed to build up, over a period of time, a business which has, because of this pandemic, gone to the wall. A friend who also had a business and built it up from scratch had managed to retrieve a little bit of funding out of the bankruptcy. And with that bit of funding, and guys, it's a tier warning, she tried to apply to the euthanasia clinic in Sweden to take her life with that little bit of last cash. I've mentioned this to a few people, and I've saw them swallow really hard over that. The clinic, thankfully enough, refused to take her life, refused her euthanasia, because she was perfectly healthy. But that is the state of the mindsets of some of the people's lives that are being destroyed with what is going on. All I can say is, with regards to that, is make sure you keep your loved ones close to you, and you make sure that they are still mentally well-being. Show them support, and guys, try and support your local businesses that have been around for a long time. Try and support this observatory. I keep saying, we've had 3 people hit that donate button in a week and a half, and we get 7,000 views. So we provide a lot of information, as you guys know, on this channel. It's not just like today, the Earth Health at a glance, all the data that has to be gathered and collected to keep you informed of at a glance what's going on with our world. But there is also data on the Trimag, which has been done today. The magnetosphere data has been done today. It's all been updated. So that's 3 separate things that have been updated on our website. But on all the other pages, there is widgets on there that automatically get updated as the day goes on. We've tried to make poleshiftnews.com a one-stop facility for anybody that really is truly bothered about the world in which we live in. And it's sad, guys, because we live in a world where people don't even notice the sun coming up every day and take that simply for granted. It is a real special place we have, and as stewards right now, we're doing a terrible job. It is a saviour, really, that there is observatories like ours that really put the effort and time into bringing the information and the awareness of some of these problems. Otherwise, most people wouldn't know. We get 130,000 views on YouTube every month. Doesn't generate a lot of revenue off the adverts, I'll be honest. £200 if we're lucky, sterling. That doesn't go very far, as you know, in this day and age. £200 is not a lot of money. And we try, as always, to do the best. We've got equipment which is ready to go out to Brazil, and I think that we might have to, under the circumstances of trying to be in Brazil for so long, might have to shift to South Africa. We have had offers before for people to put equipment there for us, but to date we've struggled to get it into Brazil. I have had people offer in Chile, but it doesn't really sit in the environment where we want it. Ideally would be Brazil, but failing that, we know that the mid-Atlantic anomaly is stretching over Africa now, and we could be in that region with our equipment in the not too distant future. So what I want to do before I end the video, I want to show you obviously at a glance the details on that, but before I do, let's have a look at where the magnetic North Pole is and its latest position. And for those of you that are interested in the latest magnetic North Pole position, as you can see, the longitude and latitude is in the box. Along with today's date, we have a movement or a migration of about 4.1 miles over the last month. The longitude is 83 degrees by 32 hours 47 minutes by 94 seconds north, and the longitude is 125 degrees by 11 hours 31 minutes 63 seconds east. And we'll just quickly zoom out to see where the progression of this is going. Let's just clear these off first and we'll zoom out, so it gives you a rough idea of where it's tracking. As you can see, the white and yellow lines of our corridor still migrating towards 40-degree mark, where we should enter the weak field lines, and hopefully, if our theory is correct, we will see the magnetic poles go into reversal probably around about 2 or 3 years away. But as we can see here in Russia, this is just outside the Arctic Circle, and this is the direction of where the magnetic North Pole is tracking. If you remember on the other intensity map, this is the epicenter of that strong region, which is increasing in intensity over Russia as time goes on, and at the same time we are getting weakening over Canada, and that's why the magnetic North Pole began migrating in the first place around 100 years ago. But if you've been following the news on the magnetic North Pole, you'll notice that this has accelerated 3 times as it's gone along towards Russia, which means things are getting faster and faster. I just wanted to point out, if you go on to Earth's Health at a Glance, which is up on the website today, you'll note that there has been a further reduction in the active erupting volcanoes. Sorry, should I just say the erupting volcanoes, because that's all we follow, the ones that are erupting, not the ones that are active or showing signs of being active, just eruption volcanoes. So they're down. Now, we already know we've already lost 1/3 of the erupting volcanoes in the last year. This is starting to become a trend that we're almost seeing, these numbers decline, and we've seen a decline in the last week of about 3 volcanoes. If you check the archive on Earth's Health at a Glance, that's quite a lot. It makes me wonder what's going on in the core at the same time this Earth is going through its reversal. Are we starting to see something along the lines as what happened to Mars? Remember, its volcanic activity stopped, giving us an indication that the core was probably solidifying, and then the magnetosphere disappeared. Now, if we understand our the magma around our Earth is swirling round, creating the magneto, which generates the electromagnetic field of the Earth. If that stops swirling and starts to solidify, then obviously we'll shut down the production of the magnetosphere. It will shut down the magneto, which produces the magnetosphere. And that's why I say we have to put all this together, have a look at why we have gone an extra 500,000 years overdue a pole reversal and not had one, when beforehand it used to happen every 350,000 years or so. It's not looking good, guys. If we lose the magnetosphere, every biodiversity on this planet will die, and the surface water will end up disappearing like it did on Mars, and along with it the atmosphere. Like I say, I am deeply concerned with the dwindling numbers of erupting volcanoes, and over a short period of time. If you remember in the video when I held a comparison map with 1-2 years ago to the present day, a couple of months ago, we saw that 1/3 of the volcanoes were not in eruption. So I'm going to keep my eye on this for us, guys, because I think that this could be something that is trending at the moment in a decline fashion. So whatever is happening, which is preventing active volcanoes on our planet from erupting, could be, like I've spoke, something to do with the magneto, which in turn is driving our magnetic pole reversal at the moment. And we could be seeing a slowdown of the core activity on our planet. I mean, we have seen this with our sun at the moment. We are seeing less and less sunspots. We're in an all-time minimum right now. So maybe our solar system has entered a super wave which has, caused this. It could be a galactic super wave. I've heard the theory on this. It could be what is altering our sun and our Earth and other planets in the solar system. I mean, I've seen Jupiter lose one of its belts in recent years. That was a complete shock to me. That's like a whole jet stream that disappeared for a period of time and then came back. But these are the things that distinguish our planets, and it isn't just related to changes on our Earth. We are seeing our core star at the centre of our solar system go through these changes. So it begs me to wonder, where we are heading with all these. So let's just quickly have a look at the Trimag data, the magnetosphere data, and then we'll go on to the Earth at a glance for you guys. So a quick look at this month's gathering of the data. As you can see, over 300,000 readings at a resolution of every 3 seconds. The activity over the month has been moderately quiet, and it was moderately quiet last month. And you can see, if you just go back into the archive, the activity getting quieter and quieter with regards to the magnetic North Pole. I will say this: we are still on the fringe of going over to 13 degrees, and we are still seeing the pole migrate at its usual rate of around about 4 miles every month. So we'll have a quick look at the magnetosphere data, and then we'll move on to the Earth health at a glance. So things remain as they do, calm again with the magnetosphere and the strength. No dramatic drops, at least as far as where we're taking the sampling here in the UK. And it's no wonder, because just north east of the UK, if we keep travelling up towards the Arctic Circle where the magnetic North Pole is, it is around about there. And we are slap bang in between two intensities, that of Canada and that of Russia. So when we do start to see the activity moving and becoming more fluctuant, we've got the equipment sat in place ready for that action to be detected. Again, I really want to get a magnetometer and, if we can, a muon detector out into central Russia, where our target region is for where that highest intensity is right now. That is getting stronger and stronger. So it is always an effort here to improve and not just improve the data, but collecting the data from different locations. This is what some of the things that we do our best to do. Moving on to Earth's health at a glance. Comparing now, because we're starting to get a little bit of an archive going. You can see last month's atmospheric CO2 was at 408 parts. It's gone back up to 455 parts per million. Atmospheric oxygen still pretty much around the same. It was at this morning, when I took the atmospheric oxygen reading, 20.86%, which is normal, usually around 21%. Atmospheric oxygen, we can see last month it's just moved 0.86 it was this week, so slightly a little bit more in the reservoir than what was collected last week. The new positions of the magnetic North Pole are up there. I usually do this on the 17th, but I thought if I'm going to do Earth's health at a glance today, I'm going to put it on there today. Caused a little bit more work for myself, but it doesn't matter. Just if you're there doing one, you might as well process all the rest. So I got that up for you today, a day earlier, and perhaps if it falls around the Wednesday again next month, we'll do the same. Volcanoes in eruption, 21. You can see that there was slightly more last week. We had 24, so we're down 3 active volcanoes in eruption. The largest earthquake, as you can see, 5.3 in Nepal. Muons per hour, 515 per square metre per hour, as opposed to last month 517. So not much change in the radiation that we're getting. And if we look at the background radiation count that we've done this morning, we can see it's at 0.0 0.18 microsieverts, as opposed to last week's reading, which was 0.13, so slightly up on the background radiation, only slightly by 0.05. Again, no sunspots. The solar X-rays are normal. The geomagnetic field is quiet. The jet streams are still unsettled, as we know, and that's because of the cosmic radiation inbound due to the cosmic rays coming through our primary shield, the magnetosphere, and also leaking into our solar system as the heliosphere is deflated slightly due to the grand solar minimum. The magnetometers over different regions such as Hong Kong is stable. Canada, we know it's unstable and is depleting, and the more information we get from one of our superstars over there, Kendall, the more we will see it deplete, and that will also affect the microteslas in the magnetosphere strength, because as you know, we now take a mean reading of all the field strengths, and we take a reading of the mean, which gives us the 50 microteslas that we're at right now. The Gold Coast stable, Perth, Australia, no major activity with that. Tuscan, Arizona, exactly the same. And that is the Earth's health at a glance for you guys. You can come on here, and if you want to compare it, not just with this week's or last week's, we're starting to build up a nice little archive now. And what we will do at some point is we'll just chart all these figures that we've got, and we'll see what the trend comes out in the chart for us. So occasionally we'll throw that in there. But guys, I just want to leave you here with the facts. And even though I'm an optimistic, you can't help but see all these things that are taking place are not very good, are they? They're not very optimistic. And as we've not reached equilibrium on pretty much all these topics we talk about, it just means that they're going to get worse. So we have got to stay united, even at a time that we face with this pandemic. We've got to try and help the small businesses as much as we can, if there's other businesses that we want to see continue to be around at the end of all this. But who knows what will be the end case scenario. I'll just really pray for all those people that are losing their jobs. The looming repossessions of their properties hangs over them. I just hope that there is a solution that can help them, and if not, that there is people that they can fall back on. Guys, the only last thing to say is, look, we get 7,000 views on this website. It would be really great if a few more people would click the donate button on the website. It just show us a little bit of appreciation. But 3 in a week and a half is, sad, really, because a lot of work does go into this. If that's not for you, there's a PayPal link down there in the description. You can also become one of our patrons, and why not? There are worse things to do, guys, than support an observatory. Okay, you have an amazing day. I'm going to be back tomorrow, and I will say what I usually do. You take care of yourselves, as always. Bye for now.